Welcome to FTB Fridays for Friday, the 2nd of April, 2021, recording this at 12:55 p.m. I'm Jason C. McLean, your host. Now, normally this is when I'd introduce the week's guest or guests, but this week there are no guest or guests. It's me doing an op-ed. And since this is an editorial, it's important to point out that the opinions expressed are mine and mine alone, do not necessarily reflect those of other people involved with Forget the Box or with FTB Fridays. Now, for months, I've been wondering if there was anything that could get me back on the Plante and Prege bandwagon fully, that could get me to ignore or forget or forgive some of the things she's done that I don't like, and just remember all the good things she's done that I do like, and become a full-fledged partisan back like I was in the 2017 election. Well, this week, that thing happened. In completely unsurprising news, it was announced that Denis Coderre is once again running for mayor of Montreal. Yes, that Denis Coderre. Now, the former mayor, the one who lost to Plante in 2017. Now, he does look a bit different. He's lost a lot of weight. And by all accounts, he's feeling a lot healthier, living a better lifestyle. And on a personal level, congrats. I'm happy for him. Good on him. Hopefully he keeps it up. But on a political level, he's still Denis Coderre. Yes, he's still the same Denis Coderre that gave us these $3.45 million for fake granite tree stumps that are really difficult to sit on. They're all over the mountain. They're in other areas. A bunch of them are in some dumps somewhere, I think. He insisted these were a good idea, and I think it was probably the artist who designed them, I think, has some connection to the administration. He also, under the guise of the 375th anniversary of Montreal, is the mayor who thought that spending $50,000 on a national anthem for Rivière des Prairies, Pointe-aux-Trembles, the borough, was a good idea, because that borough obviously needed a national anthem. Montreal doesn't even have a national anthem. Now, in the 375th, he also put the lights on Jacques Cartier Bridge. That cost a lot of money too, but I'm going to give him a mulligan for that one because they're kind of cool. And it's nice to see the bridge lit up at night. But he's, of course, also the same mayor that thought that banning an entire breed of dog, the pit bull, because of an incident that didn't even involve a pit bull, it was found out, was a good idea, regardless of what people thought, regardless of what people tried to tell him at a city council meeting. He said, "Cut her mic," when some woman was complaining about the pit bull ban. He's also the mayor that thought that having race cars race through the streets of Montreal, blocking off the streets to do it, when we still have a perfectly good racetrack on Ile Notre Dame, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It's good enough for the Formula One. I don't know why it's not good enough for the Formula E. Well, the promoter said it wasn't good enough, so he listened to them instead of caring about what Montrealers wanted. Was actually a good idea. Now, in his new book, which is called Retrouver Montréal, he did admit that he was arrogant in the past, and he regrets some of his past arrogance moves around the 375th. Didn't mention anything about the pit bull ban. He did mention the Formula E. But really, are those the only incidents of arrogance, or was the entire Coderre administration an administration of arrogant, illogical moves like that? But let's not judge him on the past. Let's judge him on the future. One of the things he said in this book is that he wants skyscrapers, giant skyscrapers downtown that are taller than Mount Royal, even some of them. He also wants an above-ground train, the REM to be an above-ground train in the Old Port, and even in the East End as well, too. Now, Phyllis Lambert of Heritage Montreal said this in an op-ed that, quote, "This goes against Montreal's DNA." I agree with her. I also think it's kind of a weird idea to be focusing on skyscrapers when people are more and more working from home. Now, yeah, the pandemic's not going to last forever, hopefully, and downtown does need to be revitalized, but are giant skyscrapers really the way to go? Is that what's really going to help out the city, or is it something that's just going to make the city look more like Toronto or another city that Coderre wishes we were, instead of Montreal with its unique Montreal spirit? Also, it's interesting to point out that when Valérie Plante proposed a major infrastructure project, the Pink Line, Coderre laughed in her face last election. Now, obviously, the Pink Line hasn't officially started, but they are working on some stations in the West End that are going to be the start of the Pink Line. So she succeeded. But when it comes to skyscrapers, now let's look at this guy. This is from my neck of the woods, Shaughnessy Village. This is where the old children's hospital used to be. There's this, and there's a bunch of other buildings. This was a project of condo skyscrapers approved by Denis Coderre. Now, at the time, I kind of hoped that they were going to put in maybe an arena with a swimming pool. I'm sure there's going to be a swimming pool in these buildings. Just neighborhood residents who don't live in the buildings probably won't have access to it. Now, the project was approved under Coderre, but there was one building that the developers wanted to add at the end that Plante eventually agreed to on the condition that some units would be reserved for social housing. The developer agreed, permit was given, and then a few months later, the developer said, no, you know what, it's all going to be pricey condos. To which Plante brought back the city council and removed the permit. And that actually is what led the Peter McGill city councilor, Kathy Wong, who originally ran on the Coderre ticket, to switch parties. And now she's running on the Plante Projet Montreal ticket for re-election. Now, speaking of this area, I know a lot of people are justifiably upset about how Valérie Plante has handled the homeless situation in Cabot Square. But it's important to remember who it was that started the gentrification in this area in the first place. It was, of course, Denis Coderre. A lot of people are also upset with Valérie Plante for example, not going the route of defunding the police or not even giving it a hearing. Those people should remember that Denis Coderre probably wouldn't go that route either, and in fact was even for bylaw P6. Now, obviously, that doesn't make what Plante did or is doing any better, but you have to remember that she at least has some good things and she can be pushed on things, whereas Denis Coderre had the attitude that it's my way or the highway. The way to make things better in this city is not by re-electing the same man who, and now this is an interesting thing, when he actually ran, when he announced his intentions to run again, it was on Tout le monde en parle, a popular show on Sunday. And he announced that he was going to be running as the leader of Ensemble Montréal. Now, Ensemble Montréal used to be called Équipe Denis Coderre. He founded the party. And then when he said he was never running for municipal office again, the party rebranded as Ensemble Montréal. And a few days after Coderre's announcement, the elected officials in the party got together and voted that yes, Denis Coderre was going to be their candidate. Now, first of all, he said it even before it was rubber stamped by the elected officials. Second of all, he did this without going to the members of the party. Are there members of the party? I know that Valérie Plante won a narrow victory to become the leader of Projet Montréal and run in the election. That's some democracy for you. Denis Coderre obviously doesn't care that much about democracy within his own party. And from his 4 years in office, he proved that he doesn't really care that much about democratizing the process at City Hall. It's his way or the highway. So hopefully it won't be his way again. And yes, Denis, you've succeeded in getting me back on board to Team Plante. Sure, I still have some misgivings about some of the things Valérie Plante has done. But you know what? Compared to you, this is the good times. Okay, well, that's my my editorial / rant for this week. Next week, we're going to be back with guests. You can follow me on Twitter at Jason C. McLean. You can follow Forget the Box on Twitter at Forget the Box. You can also like, share, and give us a subscribe on YouTube. Like, share, and follow our page on Facebook. And of course, you can download the Android app. We're coming up soon with an iOS app. It's still in the works. And of course, for daily content, you can check out forgetthebox.net. Join us next week for another FTB Fridays.